Sasquatch encounter at El Dorado, California National Forest. These are two separate encounters my brother had during our childhood. The first one was in 2009, the second was in 2015. The location is a place called Salt Springs Reservoir in Amador County, California. The first encounter happened on the road from the campsites up to the reservoir. We driving slow, probably 15 miles per hour, and my brother said he saw an orangutan sitting in a bush staring at the car as we passed. He said its skin was gray and it had red hair like an orangutan. We speculated it could have escaped from a zoo, but ultimately played it off to being his imagination. My brother was 11 at the time, I was 9. I somewhat remember us talking about it when it happened. The next encounter happened in 2015, at the Salt Springs Reservoir campsites. Specifically the campsites south of North Fork McCallamy River, which is the outlet of the reservoir. So we spent 2 days camping. The first was a normal day. We hiked behind the reservoir and swam in our favorite watering hole. The next day we drove up a service road a couple miles and shot rifles. When we got to camp that afternoon, we had to get more wood for the fire. My brother had brought his buddy along, who was honestly built like a starving Bigfoot, decided to chop down a 7-foot sapling for firewood. We watched because it was funny. It started to get dark, and I remember sparks flying off the tree when his hatchet hit it. That night, those two slept in a separate tent in the next campsite over because my dad told them to move because they were being too noisy the first night. They had no fire in their campsite, so it was pitch black. I couldn't see their tent and only faintly hear them. That next morning, my brother said they heard something taking very heavy steps outside their tent in the middle of the night. Since I've gotten into Bigfoot, I've asked him about it. He said he woke up and it was very dark in the tent, but he heard what he described as footsteps that sounded like someone dropping bags of cement on the dirt. He said he looked over to wake his buddy up, but he was already sitting up and he could see the white of his eyes in the dark because he was just staring in shock listening to these footsteps outside their tent. Then he said they faded away and he fell back asleep. We used to think it was a bear. But now we're beginning to believe it was a squatch that was probably investigating these dumb teenage little foots that cut down a perfectly fine tree for no reason. Post from user The Simons on Guy 1007 at Bigfoot at Reddit. Comments. My skeptical opinion, yeah, I am one of those, is if you think it could be a bear, then it probably is. Just for the reason bears are commonly seen, exist legally and scientifically, and Sasquatch doesn't as of yet. Not saying it's not worthy of investigation. I admit I am biased because all my what-ifs have mainly been debunked: UFO, space shuttle, ghosts, optical illusions, etc. The credibility of Mr. Squatch, I believe, is in potential witnesses being careful not to have seen one just because they want to have seen one. I just think there's a reason they've been so hard to validate. Just my opinion, it's worth what it cost ya. Comment from user Saltbad 6605 at Bigfoot at Reddit.